The shopping cart has a child seat, not a storage compartment, not an extra basket, a seat with a safety strap. And it changed everything. That seat changed who could go grocery shopping, and when, and how. The man who built the cart started with one observation. His customers' arms were getting tired. He was trying to fix that. He accidentally built the engine of the American supermarket economy. By the end of this video, you will understand why 40 to 60% of what's in your cart right now was not on your list, why the dairy is at the back, why the parking lot is the shape it is, and why Goldman's first invention, the one everyone refused, is sitting in the Smithsonian right now looking almost exactly like what you pushed this week. Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1936. A grocer named Sylvan Goldman is standing in one of his Humpty Dumpty stores watching his customers. And he sees something nobody else in American retail has noticed clearly enough to act on. The moment the basket gets heavy, the transaction ends. Sylvan Goldman, born 1898 in what would become Oklahoma, built his first grocery chain, Sun Stores, with his brother. Lost everything in 1929, bought two struggling stores called Humpty Dumpty in 1934. He is not starting over, he is reloading. Goldman himself told this story in interviews. He was sitting in his office in 1936, looking at a folding wooden chair, and he thought, what if the basket sat on the chair instead of on my arm? Two baskets, a chair frame, four wheels. The simplest ideas look inevitable after the fact. They are invisible before it. Goldman takes the idea to Fred Young, his maintenance man. Young builds the first prototype. He is the one who actually makes the thing. Every great invention has someone like Fred Young. You know the name of the man who had the idea. You rarely know the name of the man who built it. Goldman files for a patent in 1938. U.S. Patent 2,196,914, granted April 9, 1940, folding basket carrier. The first shopping cart patent in American commercial history. Before the lawyers, before the patent, before any of it, Goldman puts the carts in his stores in 1937, and something happens he does not expect. The carts are right there at the entrance. The signs explain them. They are clearly better than the handbasket in every way, and customers walk directly past them, pick up the handbasket, and go shopping the way they always have. Every single customer. Nobody touches the carts. Goldman asks his staff what they hear. Men say it looks weak. A strong man carries his groceries. Women say it looks like a baby carriage. Older customers say they've never needed one before. This is not a product problem. It is a social adoption problem. And Goldman solves it the way social adoption problems are solved, by manufacturing visible adoption. Goldman hires actors, men and women of various ages, specifically including older people. He pays them to push the shopping carts through his stores during regular business hours, pretending to shop. And customers, seeing other people use the carts, start using the carts. This is social proof as a commercial deployment strategy in 1937, before behavioral economics exists as a discipline, before the word nudge has been written in a retail context. Goldman understood that humans adopt behaviors they observe other humans performing, and he operationalized that understanding with a casting call. Within months, the carts are in use. Within a year, Goldman cannot keep up with demand from other grocery operators. He makes a decision. He stops running stores. He starts manufacturing carts. In 1947, he establishes the Folding Carrier Basket Company. He is no longer a grocer. He is an equipment manufacturer. The cart restructures American retail in 4 ways. Purchase volume goes up immediately. Store size explodes. 1910, 300 products. 2024, 40,000. The daily shop becomes the weekly shop, and the parking lot is designed around the cart's movement. Goldman also invented, accidentally, the most widely debated philosophical test on the internet, the abandoned shopping cart in the parking lot. The decision of whether to return it when there is no enforcement, no fine, no consequence, is a genuine test of whether you do the right thing when nobody is watching. The child seat, added in the 1940s, changes something nobody predicted. It enables a single adult to drive to a large suburban supermarket, seat a child in the cart, complete the full weekly shop, and drive home. The weekly shop, made possible by 3 inventions at once: Piggly Wiggly 1916, the automobile, and this seat. The same cart that enables the middle-class weekly shop is the storage and transport system of the person who has no home to return to. The cart does not distinguish. It carries what you put in it. Sylvan Goldman sells his cart manufacturing company in the 1960s, retires with a fortune estimated at $400 million in contemporary terms. He was watching a tired arm end a transaction. He built $400 million from that observation. There is a bronze statue of Goldman in Penn Square, Oklahoma City. On one side, a mother and child in the cart seat. On the other, an older man looking skeptically at the cart. The man who said no, preserved in bronze, forever, in Goldman's own monument. The people who refused are in the statue as much as the people who used it. The cart in the Smithsonian looks almost exactly like what you pushed this week. 89 years. Almost nothing changed, because it was right the first time. He was solving a narrow, practical problem. The solution became something he could not have imagined. It always does. Next, the man who designed the road to the parking lot, Thomas McDonald, 34 years. Most people have never heard his name.